Within each and every role player lives this homeless character who wants nothing more than to quiet the heartbeat of every living thing that stands in his way. Today we celebrate this all too familiar character with...
Well now, looky here. It's the Murder Hobo Show.
Here we be. Welcome to the Murder Hobo RPG Show, episode 20. We're going to be talking about Icons Assembled, recorded July 1-5, not 1-4, July 15th, 2020. I am one of your hosts, Gary, a.k.a. the Murder Hobo. Some people call me Major IBS because that's what I have, and I am here with Uncle Jay. My Uncle Jay Raz, a.k.a. Captain Colin, my main man. What's going on, Sugar Nipples?
Not a whole lot there, Sweet Cheeks. How you been, man? How you been holding up?
I'm working and living. I got me some sweet diabetes, which is awesome. So I'm one of the beaties kids now. I got the beatus.
You poor bastard.
For now, I'm gonna beat the beaties.
Yeah,
started my diet.
That's what I figured. Hashtag Gary's gonna beat the beaties.
If I'm not beating my beaties, I'm gonna beat the beaties. No,
that's what we're talking about. No, you can do it. Exactly. If you're not beating your meat, you're beating the beaties.
Fantastic. What's going on there, Uncle Jay? What's new and exciting? What's the haps? Give me the quick lowdown. How you been?
Oh, not too bad, man. Just hanging out here in month 4, being cooped up. Other than that, everything's going all right. Me and the wife just hanging out, just chilling. She's playing Animal Crossing. I'm down here, reading RPG stuff. Everything's cool. We're doing good.
Nobody cares.
Yeah, exactly.
That's neither here nor there. So this is a podcast about role-playing games. And as usual, we're going to ramble incoherently in an attempt to sound like we know what we're talking about and hope you don't call us on our bullshit.
That's right. Today we're going to talk about Icons Assembled. It's the new super... Well, actually, it's not really new, but it's the new around Nerdgen and National. It's the one being passed around. A bunch of people are started checking it out. A bunch of people are playing it. So we wanted to take a deep dive, as in our 15 minutes of research into this game before we did the podcast, and that's what we're going to talk about today, and just other general RPG happenings.
So guess what just happened, Jay?
What's that?
I forgot to smash the record button, but that's okay. Because I think what I can do is I can pull the audio from YouTube after I do some little bit of messing around, or maybe download this, and then I'll just get it from there. How do you like them apples?
Technology in action right here. That's when you're able to master the robots. That's when you've truly won.
Right.
That's why I work in IT, dude. I don't do it because I have a love of computers. I do it because I hate computers.
I got some sweet nanobuts.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's what the wife tells me anyway. It's a pretty sexy nanobutt.
Well, you've seen the Mafia movies, and of course you want to run Wise Guys at one point. But that's the one tenet in a lot of these Mafia games is they say keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. That's exactly why I work in IT, man. Because as soon as the robot takeover happens, I know how to shut those fuckers down.
Wow,
stiff. So there you go.
Stiff. You're like gonna hijack the internet and own it, are you?
Yeah. No. I want to shut it down. That's the whole thing. I don't want it spread. In fact, I want to partition it out and just make sure it's all contained in one area, so it doesn't spread out to you guys up in Canada. That's the Holy Land. We want to keep that safe.
The Holy Land. That sounds like you got a plan.
Yeah, we want to keep that safe.
So what have you been? How was your gaming week? Because mine was a friggin' debacle all the way around.
Man, we've been playing Worldwide Wrestling. We got the one game that we got going on Sundays, and I got one that I run on Thursdays. And in fact, because I go on call next week, I'm actually running a game tomorrow. And this one takes place where ours takes place in the Texas area, in Texas and New Mexico area. This one takes place in Florida, and man, it is bloody as hell. Like every or something. It's sort of like in ours where the one that we do on Sundays where somebody usually gets hurt, but usually in ours, somebody really gets hurt. It's like really bad. In fact, Tommy Brunell's character, he's like put out all of his old enemies. Like he has retired like about 3 people so far.
Wow. He's on his like 3rd character. Is that what's going on?
No, he's like put out 3 people, like people he's wrestled against. He's injured them so badly they can't compete anymore.
Oh, geez.
You know. So don't get in the ring with Tommy. He's you might get stiff there. But and Matt Jones's character, he's actually turning out to be like the Hulk Hogan sort of this organization. Like everybody loves him, and he's like the Oh, he does this Jekyll and Hyde character where he comes out like in this lab coat and he looks all, he tries to shrink down like he's all shrimpy and he's like, hey, dude. But he tried to be just, a good doctor. But when people piss him off, he sort of like hulks up and like turns really massive and, turns into Dr. Psycho. It like choke slams people and everything like that. And everybody in Florida just loves him there. So it's pretty fun.
Wow. That sounds friggin' amazing.
Yeah.
My week took an absolute dunk in the toilet bowl. We went out. We had a wedding on Saturday that we went to. Congratulations to my sister-in-law and her new hubby Cal. Not that they'll ever watch this. Yeah, right. Whatever that means. So yeah, they had a wedding on Saturday, so I went to that. I got home late. I was kind of tossing and turning all night. 3:00 in the morning. I'm like, I'm not getting 4 hours sleep and trying to game. So,
right.
So I pulled the pin on my deal early Saturday morning, or Sunday morning, I should say, and then my Wuxia game. It didn't get canceled, but just that one particular episode of it got put on hold. So that was a no-go. And then my buddy Dave the Digital Dungeon Master, I was playing in a Bexme game with him, and we were supposed to fire it back up. So the last time we played, we were supposed to play. His mom went into the hospital. Now she recovered from that stint. And so we were going to pick it back up now this 4 weeks later, something like that. And then the day that we're supposed to play, she had to go back into the hospital again. So best wishes to her. Hopefully she recovers from whatever ailments are ailing her. And we can get back at it with Dave at some point in the future. So yeah, I had 3 games bail on me, and then nobody wanted to do a pickup. It kind of sucked. I just kind of sat home alone and cried my own tears of cryingness.
Tears of cryingness. Yeah, I mean, or you could say sadness. That's probably a better adjective instead of cryingness. Some of us haven't really mastered the English language yet, but that's all right though.
Some of us. Would that be me? Is that who you're talking about?
No, man. I mean, it spans the borders because sometimes I say weird shit too. So I can't really call you out when I stutter a lot. So if you say cryingness. And that's very sadness. In fact, I've been stiff on you lately, man. I need to lighten up too, man. Because I mean, life's kind of like throwing you a curveball. You're not being able to play in the games. You're not able to eat ice cream or anything. Well, you're never able to eat ice cream anyway. It's like the best thing in the world. But but I mean, that's a double whammy in itself. But yeah, life's like been hard on you, so I'm gonna like ease up on you, not be so stiff on you, there, big guy.
Wow, we're hearing that. There was a little bit of an echo there because I was making sure that I pulled the Twitch channel up in case somebody wants to come and talk to me and say a thing to me. All right. Well, yeah, that kind of just covers the stuff that we've been up to. Kind of a crap week for me. I'm looking forward to getting back into it. We're doing wrestling on Sunday, so I got another 2 weeks before I can pick my stuff up. I've already read the next adventure. I'm getting excited for that, and yeah. So I guess we're going to go ahead.
I have to double check. I think we're playing Deadlands this weekend. I think I got a Deadlands game Saturday with Eric Lamberty's Deadlands game, which is Magnifique.
Eric Loseroo. Really fun.
Say that again?
I said Eric Loseroo.
Oh, no. Eric's Winneroo.
Winning what?
Man, he won my heart. That's all he needs. Just like you guys did. Just like you and Gary. And I'll let you guys fight for it. You know who's winning that one? Yeah, Matt Stark.
Right? He's going to come out with his knife and take care of both of us.
Yep.
All right. Let's. I guess what are we? 10 minutes into this already? So that's not too bad for whatchamacallit, for a little intro there. So let's pound some whatchamacallits here and get over to the next deal.
Smash some buttons.
I did smash a button, and there it is right there. But it came in late. Came in on the fly. And she fades away. All right, section 2. Icons assembled. How exciting is this?
It's pretty exciting. Well, it's exciting if you like Supers games like I do. So it was definitely one that I wanted to check out. In fact, I've had this one sitting in the Google Drive pile for a while now. It wasn't until I'd heard a couple people playing it in Nerds International that I decided to dig it out. And like, all right, I'm a self-reported Supers guy as far as RPGs go. So I said, I need, what self-respecting, Supers guy doesn't need to check this out. So I went ahead and took a look at it and said, hey, Gary Rooney, let's take a look at this and see what we think about this Icons Assembled.
What do we think of it?
I hate it, but I don't necessarily like love it, if you know what I mean. But I'm willing to give something a chance, though. And all things considered, after the fact, if I end up, this is just everything that I state right now, and I'm sure Gary can probably back me up on this. Everything we state right now is just upon reading, just upon what we read. No gameplay experience whatsoever, just upon what we read.
Well,
it might be
not entirely true, my man. I played with my buddy Stace Wormwood. Wormwood. What the hell? I can't remember what the hell is friggin'. It's Wormwood. Wormfood. It's Wormfood. Stace. I played with him. He's running a Supers this game, an Icons Assembled game, and I played in it, but it was actually not bad. I mean, it was a lot of narrative storytelling and stuff like that. The mechanics really didn't get in the way, and we didn't really do a lot of like rolling the dice kind of a thing because of the way that it all went down. So I didn't really get a good grasp. It was maybe an hour's worth and maybe sort of one combat scene where I got to punch a few people in the face and do some things, and then other than that, that was kind of about it. So I have played it a touch, and it's weird when you don't know the rules to a game to play a thing, but. So yeah, I'm not going to let that affect my call on this one. This to me is a weird ass set of rules.
To put it mildly, is that's exactly what we're going to say, especially from my point of view, because I have yet to play it, but I have read it, and so yeah, that's kind of what I wanted. Like, let's see what old Gary thinks about this, and so we wanted to go ahead and talk about it here on today's show.
Right, and here we are, Icons Assembled, super powered role playing. It's a good thing that you're the supers guy. So, what is this Icon Assembled in a nutshell? This is second edition, right? There was a previous Icons Unassembled.
No, it was called like Icons, I think like A to Z or something to that effect. But then they went ahead and made this revision, which is sort of the second edition. Steve Kenson, guy who created Mutants and Masterminds, which is funny too, because that's people, when you think about super centric RPGs in the world, Mutants Masterminds is the first one that pops up, mainly because it's D20, and mainly because it's been around for a while. I played Mutants Masterminds for a while, but I sort of I was playing it and I could see the appeal, but it was really kind of a hard system to really kind of get into. And so I guess maybe even Steve Kenson, the guy who designed this, who also designed Icons here, probably thought the same thing. And he's like, all right, I'm going to make a more narrative system where Mutants and Masterminds is straight up. There's a lot of D20 crunch to it, if you know what I'm saying. So I guess he wanted to have something that was going to be, a little more, I guess, flow a little bit better and kind of tamp down on that. So this is where we are. And this is, Icons Assembled.
Nice. All right. So what do we got going on here in the contents? We got the basics. Oops, I popped that thing out a little bit. This is going to the basic section for me was I found it pointless because it's like it doesn't teach you the rules, if that makes any sense. It's like the basics basically say this is how you're going to play the game. This is what you're going to do. But every time you need to go do a thing, it's like go to this section and look it up. If you want to figure out how to do this thing, go over here and look it up. So although essentially it's called the basics, so it does give you the basics, but I find that premise was kind of like, man, every time I wanted to learn how to do a thing, I got to go to skip to another section. It was really weird. I really like the fact that they did, in your normal RPGs you have rounds, turns, you know what I mean? All of that kind of stuff. And I like how they put it into pages and panels and all of this comic book rhetoric, which is pretty sweet. It's on point. It's got a theme going on to it and stuff like that. But after a while, you have to sort of stop and say to yourself, what's what? I was just like, huh? So, man.
If you're not used to comic book parlance, if you're not used to that sort of, how things flow in a comic book, if you're not a standard comic book reader, it will throw you off. But yeah, I will say that does get a little cutesy. And in fact, I see a lot of Supers games that do that, and I'm not really a fan of it. I would rather have more. I would rather have my RPG be more of an RPG than have it, trickle over to a comic book. And maybe they do that to introduce people who like comic books into RPGs, and maybe this is sort of like a beginner sort of. If you want to call it that, I don't really think it. I think it's an all around just sort of like little comic book emulating superheroes game, but without a lot of the crunch and just like a lot more narrative. So
This book is 234 pages of goodness.
Yeah, it's I want to say it's a compact because I have it in PDF form. I don't have it in the I don't actually have it in physical form, but I want to say it's 234 pages, and it's a pretty compact little book. So maybe that's why it's so many pages. Because when you look through it, the pages aren't really full of content. There's just the layout's kind of sparse and it's spread out kind of like a little bit. So it makes me I'm kind of led to believe that it's sort of like in digest form, if you know what I'm saying. That it looks kind of like condensed, sort of, if that makes sense. So that's probably why it's not one of these big books. I don't think it's one of these big books that's like supposed to adorn your shelf, like a big Pathfinder or even the Mutants and Masterminds books. Those are pretty thick books themselves. So
small enough to fit in your toilet bowl reading rack. Is that what you're saying?
Yep, right there next to the next to Guns and Ammo and whatever else you got there in the shedder. Guns and Ammo, your Playboys, whatever else you got. Wall Street Journal, or your Us magazine. That's what I'm reading.
You're reading Us magazine.
Actually, no. If to tell you the truth, I know what I'm reading. I'm reading the plus size bra catalog. To tell you the truth,
the Sears, the old.
No, I wait for the plus size. The plus size ones that come in just randomly in the mail. I'm like, ooh, like chunky ladies or whatever.
Okay.
And, hey, somebody was watching, Fat Ladies Jump Rope the other day when we were trying to play a game. So don't you shame me.
I'm not body shaming anybody. I like me a large lady.
Me too. Very, very, very happy.
The basics. How do we play this game, Jay? Let's talk mechanics and gameplay. So let's start with the time.
Yep. So they break it down like this. As far as they want you to get in the headspace of a comic book first and foremost, and so they break down the time. Of course, you always have narrative and action time. And narrative is, what we would call downtime in a lot of senses. A lot of RPGs. Are you walking around? You're doing this. You're investigating. You're finding out what's happening. You're exploring. Blah blah blah. And action time is when it breaks down into something critical. A combat scene or maybe some sort of dramatic event that's going to lead to some sort of like elevated skill challenge or something like that. So it's we have that. The way that it breaks down here is it totally uses comic terms. So a series is what they call they call a campaign a series. An issue is an adventure. So you're going to get let's say six sessions is an issue. A chapter is a scene, which I guess. When you set the scene up, so where it talks about, it uses chapter instead. All right, so this chapter, this is what we're going to do. A page it's when the group finishes turn, so it's a round. And so when the group finishes their turn of action, we would call that a round in D20 or other games like that. And a panel, or actually no, when the entire group, that's what it is, and then a panel is a round or a player's turn. Oh, so yeah, so yeah, I guess it is. They use round as a player's turn, but round is always, to me, that's when the entire group finishes. Yeah. So that's the terms they use.
Yeah.
In action time, you can move, you can act, you can react, and you can interact. So those are pretty much like act, react, and interact. Those are just little free actions that'll happen, down the pike a little bit. And
did I leave you hanging again?
Yeah. Oh, just a little bit. I was just going to throw it to you because my mouth was getting a little dry.
All right. So next we got distance. One of the neat parts about this game is everything is abstract. This concept I kind of fell in love with when from playing ICRPG. You don't use specific segments. It's not 30 feet to get to where you're going. You have zones basically. You've got personal, close, extended, visual, and beyond your visual or beyond your sight lines and stuff like that. So when you're smashing trying to bust a fool in the face or whatever, you got to get up close and personal. That's sort of the gimmick behind it. Close would be like melee range. I'm not sure what you would do in extended, but visual is obviously sight and stuff like that, right? So we're going to skim down to the benchmarks page, which is sort of explains. Oh, I did that again because I'm holding down control. I got to fix that. The benchmarks page helps you by giving you a standard that you can use to judge difficulties on, and I'll shoot over to that here. So we got the benchmarks here. Now, these give you a standard by which you can judge difficulties. This is another thing that I don't like about this particular game. And so when everything is sort of based on a scale of 1 to 10. So when you're game mastering, you're GMing this game, like a brick would be level 1, a child would be 2, heavy sack 3, person 4. Then you got motorcycle,
as far as
car.
their weight goes,
Yeah, right.
As
So
far
if
as
something,
and their material would rank like 1 would be leather and like 2 would be plastic. As far as like their durability would go, 3 would be brick, and then it would go all the way to something like unobtainium or adamantium, for using fake durable metal, fake really durable metals.
Yeah, so everything's broken down to like a scale of 1 to 10. That's kind of how this whole game is built. It's built on a scale of 1 to 10. How hard do you assume that it is going to be to do a thing? So if your players walk up to a door and they want to smash it down, and let's say that they're not like superheroes by any means, although I know it's a superheroes game, but you can be, what do you call it when you're like you don't have any powers? Let's say like Batman. Batman, I know he's a superhero, but he's classified as a certain kind because he doesn't actually like fly like Superman, right?
They usually anybody who like has powers like the level of Superman, they usually classify that as like metahuman, because it is way far beyond what a regular human can do. Batman is almost what they call Superman. Batman and guys like Captain America, and Daredevil that are not really like super power. They usually call it they're at the peak of human ability, which encroaches upon superhuman ability. So that's what you would call it. But anybody who's like Wonder Woman or the Hulk or anybody who can throw planets around, that they are metahumans. They are beyond,
Right, and so here's where the clunkiness and the it's nice to have a clarification, because you're supposed to take this scale of 1 to 10 and you're supposed to determine yourself, how on a scale of 1 to 10, let's say, how strong is Superman? Is Superman stronger than the Hulk? Is he the strongest thing in the world? What I mean? Is he stronger than X, Y, and Z? And it's really arbitrary because it's just sort of up to the game master and stuff. You walk up to a door to try and crack it open, and let's just say that you're Batman, and you got to punch the door open. Well, if the door's wood, are you going to call it a 3 or 4 difficulty, or if it's steel, are you going to call it an 8 or 9? Because for me, as I would call it a 10. You're not punching your way through a steel door if you're just a regular guy. It's not happening, right? That would be almost impossible. So this arbitrary system of level like 1 to 10, and the game master has to come up with the difficulty level. I think that's just going to lead to arguments. I've never really played the game to get to this point, but I find that clunky. I find that a clunky system of just not being decisive.
Well, I don't think it's any different than setting a difficulty number like in D&D, where you got a target number of like 12 for if you make, or even an ICRPG. I don't see any difference. It's kind of weird the way it's laid out though, where it's saying that because the benchmark. I'm familiar with this because I played Marvel Superheroes, and Marvel Superheroes is based on this, where you have where the challenges are rated like, and you'll find this later on in the book too. They where something is laid out like a difficulty 5, they don't want you to call it like a difficulty 5. They want you to give it the adjective that that they rate it like. Oh, can you make this good challenge, or can you make this amazing challenge? Because they give it, because I think it's like based on like 0 is like poor and 1 is like fair. They they give it that numeric system, and 10 is and 10 is all is outstanding. So it's kind of like that. So that's why I'm kind of familiar with it. But yeah, if you're used to something like D&D where it gives you flat out target numbers or difficulty numbers to reach, it will be a little off-putting to you.
Yeah. I just find it arbitrary, although I am used to it. And the DC challenges in Dungeons and Dragons are the same thing too. Moving on from benchmarks. Now, like I was saying, benchmarks are basically the way you run this game off the, that 1 to 10 scale is sort of like one of the backbones of how you run this game. Everything is sort of based on that. Well, we're going to scooch over to attributes, page 15. For those following along at home. Actually, you know what I did, Jay? I actually took it off of push to talk, and now I'm pushing to talk the bloody button. So what do we got? Because now I don't have to. So you got your strength, dex, agility, all that kind of stuff. So you got prowess, coordination, strength, intellect, awareness, and willpower. Those are your primaries.
Those all just mean prowess is pretty much your ability to fight. Coordination is your dexterity. Strength is your strength. You can't really, strength is strength. Intellect, that's of course your intelligence. Awareness is your, your wisdom, and willpower, blah blah blah. That's your charisma and force of personality and everything. But that's pretty much what directly, they have it broken down where the lower tier intellect, awareness and willpower. That's all your mental capabilities, and the former three are all your physical ones.
Right, and then you can get sort of subcategories in each of these fields. Like if you're like, you take scientist as a thing, that would be a subcategory of intellect that's going to allow you to add other bonuses onto your deals and stuff, like onto your rolls and whatnot. So in this game too, there is no hit points. They use stamina. Stamina basically equals your hit points. You don't really die in this game. You just essentially run out of gas, and that's kind of cool. I like that idea because it's like you see that all the time with Superman or whatever. He ends up running out of steam. He doesn't actually. Well, and there was that one movie, but
we don't talk about that movie.
So yeah, you determine stamina by adding a character's strength and willpower, and so there's like some kind of mathematical equation you need to figure out to do that, and then we move on to determination. So determination basically is like your will to get a thing done is essentially how this explains it. I'm not sure which ones you mash together, but there's an equation for this one that says how you determine. Determination points. Are like
these are like your bennies.
Yeah, these are your resource tokens that you can use to spend on a thing. There is determination in this game, is there not? I thought I read that somewhere. So
yeah, it's on page 17. So yeah, later on in the chapter, it'll tell you how exactly like the level is figured and everything like that too. So down the road, it'll tell you how to determine that.
Yeah, there's a thing you got to do. You got to subtract A from B, and that tells you what your determination is. And then when you're making rolls and stuff like that to do your business to get things done, you would take your strength roll or whatever to stop a locomotive. You want to get in front of it or whatever. You're going to use your fly skill or something like that, and your determination. You add those together, and you got to beat a number kind of a thing to determine whether or not you do it. And now. Here's the one thing that sort of started turning me off is these tests. In order to do a thing, from what I'm getting in this game, correct me if I'm wrong, everything is a test. So if you want to punch somebody in the face, you have to roll your fighting plus your strength, and then that is the number you need to beat is the number of their defense plus their agility or something like that, right? So there's.
Well, it's more your prowess versus versus coordination. It is kind of a test though. There's not really so much of a
correct me.
That's what I'm here for, man, or not? Or am I supposed to
No, I'm just saying it's basically you take two numbers from your one and you get to add those together on a 2d6 roll versus two numbers from the defending guy. So here's why I have a problem with it, or a thing that I just don't think that I like about it, and I feel like every time you're going to be like, what number do I need to beat? Right? Every time you want to slap the same guy in the head, do you not have to roll like 2d6 to see if your attack beats his defense?
Well. I'm going to correct you there because you don't roll 2d6, just 1d6.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. No, what you're going to do is you're going to take your ability plus the d6, and you're going to roll that, and you're going to come up with a number. So let's say if you're trying to hit somebody with prowess, and let's say you have a decent prowess of 4, and you roll a d6 along with it, and you get a 3, so that's a 7. Then what somebody's going to do? Then you roll against their coordination to see how they're going to dodge. And it's they're going to roll that, and let's say they have a 3 in that, and they roll a 2, so that's a 5, so 7. So 7 minus 5 is 2, and the outcome that's going to then you gauge on the success, like how well it did. Since that is a moderate success, you got 1 to 2 over it. Then that effort succeeds. If you get a 3 or 4 over that succeeding. It succeeds significantly. What you want to do is it's like the higher the roll, the more success that you get, the better off it's going to look. So that's
Right.
kind of how it's played.
It's kind of like getting raises in Savage Worlds, right? Like, except you could roll a 12 on yours, and he could roll a 3, and you've beat him by so many points that you've got like a super success kind of a thing. But this is what I'm saying is, like, at least in Savage Worlds, when you go to shoot, the target number is 4, right? I mean, unless there's some complications, but essentially it's 4. Right? That's the number that you're generally trying to beat. In this one, that number changes all the time, so I feel like you'd be constantly asking the game master if you won. Roll.
No, there's not a number that you're trying to hit, though. It's an opposed roll, dude. That's all it is. You're just an opposed roll. You're not trying to hit a difficult. You're not
right.
In that case, you're trying to hit a difficult. In that sense too. Whoever. If you got a 7 versus somebody's 5, then that's then that's a success. There's not so much of a target number that it's just an opposed roll.
But
you don't have to ask somebody. What the target number is.
Maybe it's not the success number, but the idea is that you never know, I guess, how well you did without always having to ask a question.
Yeah, but that's kind of that's kind of where I'm kind of that's where I'm kind of like with this game too, because there's a lot of questions and a lot of things. It goes along with what we're going to talk about here. Next off. As far as we get the test though, but it's more or less everything that seems like it is post action, but you do have to there is going to be some when they do want you to hit a certain target number, which they will which would be ranked 0 through 10, but it is one of those things too, like what am I trying to hit? Yeah, there is going to be a lot of dialogue going on here. That's especially true when we go on here and talk about the next thing here, but one thing that they factored in here is, you got the test and it tells you, how well you did, and the difficulty is usually set by, the test is if it's against another character, just trying to hit the other character, or wherever, the opposing character is, whoever wins that roll, that's how that applies. But if the test is against an obstacle or another, rather than another character, then the GM rolls the dice and adds a level to describe the challenge. So it's sort of, but that's where it comes in, where the GM's just going to tell you, where the what the difficulty is, which is a little, I guess a little off-putting sometimes, because you are going to ask is like, what am I trying to hit? What am I trying to hit? Instead of 4, or or like an RCRPG, what is it like? You have the scene number, which is a 12.
Yeah, you always know what you're supposed to beat, like what the number is that you're trying to beat. Yeah. That's one of the things that I really like about ICRPG is that number is right there. And, once we get better at it, it allows a player to make the roll and immediately know and explain whether what their success looks like without me having to tell them they've won. There's no question about it. You can do multiple attacks, effort. What is effort? To attempt to test whoever controls the testing character. So you want to throw a punch and do things like that. This
effort is just you. Is just your ability to do something. It's just like it's the to attempt to test, like you throwing a punch, you're gonna roll your prowess, you're gonna roll your d6 and add your prowess to it, and that's your effort. It's just they're just making it, it's effort minus difficulty equals outcome. They're just making it into a math equation. So,
I think that's
all effort is.
After you got used to playing this game, which I don't think would take much, it seems very simplistic. There is a bit of math, and then which really is simple stuff. Just this number, blah blah blah, and then you get to the like whether or not it's a success. This table right here shows you the outcome and the degree, right? So you can see on this on page whatever it is 21. You've got combined effort and combined effort. I like that they have a section for actually doing things together. It seems like anytime you want to do a thing, you can also do things together, which is kind of like superhero teamy kind of a deal, which is pretty neat.
Yep. It was really, I really started to delve into this when I started playing Savage World Supers, and it was really well defined in that, because it was really kind of it was really kind of convoluted in Mutants and Masterminds. But I'm with you though. I do like how they've done it here. It's pretty straightforward as far as how it goes. So you just you get the bonus for one successful assist, and it increases by +1 for every doubling of it. So that's pretty easy.
There's some pretty sweet other stuff in here as well, like this pyramid tests. One of the cool parts about the pyramid tests is that there's actually like sort of different styles of pyramid tests that you can use, which is pretty neat. You know, you might need so many successes. You might have to get like everybody has a success. There was like different routes of going about it.
Yeah. You're talking about like the little modifiers they have. I thought that was really kind of cool too, like how they have that where you can, customize your, this is a pyramid test being like a skill challenge where it's going to take multiple tries and multiple people try to get something done. And I really like how it's laid out because you have different sort of modifiers you can slap on them.
Yeah, so pyramid test modifiers, you've got balanced. If a certain number of failures accumulate before the required successful outcome, the pyramid test tips and is considered a failure. You've got collapsing. The pyramid loses success over time, forcing characters to stay ahead of the losses while trying to accumulate enough degrees to success or to complete. You've got costly, deep, escalating, which I guess it gets harder as you go. So imagine in Savage Worlds you have a dramatic task, but every success makes it the next one that much higher of a more difficulty to do. I thought that was really cool. Escalating.
Yep.
Fragile and short, so you can determine the amount if you just wanted to do a short pyramid. So it's it's like instead of getting 5 successes in a dramatic task, you only need to get 2 and you're done. So it's kind of cool that they explain the different types of pyramid ones. There's also timed, triggered, and wide, which you can read about them in there. So there's it all of a sudden, like, because pyramid, that whole thing basically is just. It's just Savage Worlds dramatic tasks. But man, did they ever break it down into a bunch of different cool styles of dramatic tasks that you could play. I really liked that. I thought that was pretty slick.
I really think here this was Steve Kenson sort of making up for the lack of this sort of element in Mutants and Masterminds, because there wasn't sort of like it wasn't laid out in this sort of fashion as far as like skill challenges go. In fact, it was sort of like left on the fly. In fact, I was really kind of when I was running Mutants and Masterminds, I was kind of like racking my brain, like, how am I going to set up skill challenges? There's nothing really broken down here. And the game is, you imagine like playing a lot of Supers games, it's not so much combat in a lot of senses that you're going to run. A lot of the encounters or a lot of, the things that you're going to deal with are, oh shit, there's a satellite crashing Earth. I got to go ahead and stop that. Oh shit, there's a train falling off a bridge. I got to go and stop that. Oh shit, there's a building collapsing. There's other things in play here. So it's not just about combat. And Mutants and Masterminds kind of like, I think it really kind of left that in the dust here, where this kind of picks it up, where Steve Kenson's like, oh shit, I dropped the ball on that. I'm going to make up for it in spades with this, motherfuckers. So here we go.
Whoa, wow. Oh, man. All right, moving on. We got qualities. What are qualities? A quality describes
let's
something
talk about
distinctive.
You know about qualities.
What is it? Oh, his qualities are like edges and hindrances, right? Is that what this section is?
Yeah, it's the way that they do them, and it's not anything that's laid out in stone too. Because what it is, you have like these qualities that are more like they're narrative aspects of your characters that you can use to either gain an advantage or a disadvantage. So they have some examples that are laid out, but this is where this is where the fate aspects start dipping into this game. And this is where I believe a lot of stuff is going to cause a lot of arguments too, because, I don't know, I think it's like, well, because I know some people are going to try to like vie for an advantage each and every time with one of their qualities. And I know it's going to cause trouble, but let me go back. I'm going to go ahead and break down the qualities just a little bit more before we start ragging on it. The book defines it as a quality describes something distinctive not covered by a numerically rated ability. For a character, it can have a high concept like demon possessed detective, or like a catchphrase, like world's greatest magician, and so forth. And these qualities can be used to gain an advantage or create trouble. It lays out some examples in the book. It says, because I'm the world's greatest detective, I get improved effort on the intellect test to figure out what happened here. So that means you get a +1, to your roll or something to that effect. Another one that's laid out and says, as a believer in all things good, I am taken aback by this horror and I lose my paddle this page. So this, this person's using their quality to actually not take a turn that round. So, and it has other ones laid out there too. And that's the best way it can, that's just the simplest manner to. It goes on to define these a little bit more, that you can use, determination to spend to activate one of these. Sometimes these activations are free. You can make your own, or learning or creating these ones and see what's going on. To me, this just sounds like a big headache argument waiting to happen.
So you could be like Boot Knife, the hairy crotch, and then you go to grab your knife out of your belt loop, kind of a deal, and all of a sudden your hairy crotch gets in the way, and you go to pull it out, and you've just jammed out like 17, 18, 20 pubes along with your boot knife, and right, and then you can't act this turn.
Yeah, and that's going to be something that's going to apply each and every time, because if your boot knife the hairy crotch, every time you pull your boot knife, you're gonna it's gonna be delayed action, because you're gonna have to go through your fucking nest of pubes. I guess if that's how you want to define it. A lot of times too, Superman, for example, would have like 3 qualities, and in this sense, he would have. There would be the Man of Steel, so you would think, okay, I'm going to get improved, and that's going to give me improved effort on any like durability tests, because Man of Steel, nothing can hurt me. Last Son of Krypton, that's probably going to give him trouble down the road, because he's the only one, he's the only one of his race, probably lonely and shit, if you think about it. And and also too, his physiology is not very well defined, because nobody else is. He's the only Kryptonian. How the hell can anybody study him if there's not others? The only one but him. So anybody trying to fix any of his disease or whatever, that's all gone. So, but you see, it's like that too. You have to state all of this stuff off the beginning, and it's stuff you're going to apply. It's not going to apply. It's not going to be a one size fit all package. It's going to be something that you're going to go ahead and you're going to have to finagle your way into using them each and every time.
Yeah.
And and are you willing? Are you that strong enough, man, to have an argument? Are you ready to have an argument every time you sit down and play?
Yeah,
Maybe it's not like that, but
I feel like that's what it would be. It would be like those rules lawyers that play D&D, right? Like that. I told you the story about that one kid that he played a monk, and being the monk, he could evade attacks or something. I don't remember the details, but anyways, we're in this hallway, and there's a door in front of us. Like, you went down a set of stairs onto a landing, and down another set of stairs to a door. Somebody, the door was trapped with a fireball, so the entire place is lit up with a fireball. And he's like, I want to use my monk ability to dodge the fireball, and I was like, you can't really do that. But it says right here on page such and such. Yeah, you get into these big arguments over stupid things like that. Where are we at here, Jake? Because that was a dumb story that I just told.
No, we're still talking about these qualities. Let me ask you this: have you played any 2D20 like Conan, Star Trek, John Carter of Mars, anything like that?
Conan, hated it.
I've played. Actually, I've read Star Trek Adventures. It's not like Star Trek, man. So I was going to check it out. 2D20 system. They have the same sort of principle in this too. This whole, because if you try to play somebody like Spock, Spock got live long and prosper. So he's got that quality, or that honorific, or whatever they want to call it in that game. And so it's another one that you're going to say, okay, so let me figure out how to shoehorn this shitting thing in. I don't know. I would rather have things, but this is where I guess I differ, because these are more narrative qualities, and this is where you kind of like get away from having to, have to roll and make all these dice, let the dice adjudicate everything. But to me, I'm more of a middle crunch guy, and this seems a way more on the narrative side for me in that sense.
The thing I didn't like about the 2D20 system is I don't know what you call them, the fate chips, right?
The momentum pool and everything like that, the momentum and threat pool.
And some people might think it's cool. That's, if that's your jam, that's your jam. What I didn't like about it was, if you're sitting around a table and you have the game master and he's got this bowl in front of him full of chips, and then you've got, I guess, your chips. It's been a while since I played the system. I played it twice and I was like, this is dumb. But here's what I don't like about it. When when you're sitting there and the party has this pool of momentum chips, when it's my turn to go, I don't want to spend the momentum chips because they could be used for something much more grandiose, like to make that succeed. So I'm thinking about these things while I'm role playing. I'm not going to use momentum just to stab somebody with my short sword. But man, I'm telling you, the people I were playing with, they're fucking spending momentum to pick their nose. And it was like, man, so every time they use momentum to do a stupid fucking thing, that goes into the game master's pile. And now he's got all this momentum. And when it comes around to my turn, he's like, 17 momentum, kick your ass. Your nuts exploded and popped out your eyeballs. I'm like, what the fuck? Plus, not to mention, I think there's like a weird rule in 2D20 where the game master just arbitrarily can get momentum for some reason. So it seems like this sort of, the momentum pool favors the game master and everybody else at the table, because they're not like Benny's where you have your own pool. It's like a shared pool of momentum. And every time the game master's like, do you want to use your momentum to do this? And then everybody's like, yeah, sure, I'll use momentum. Where I'm like, dude, you're just whacking a hobo. You're crawling out of a ditch. You want to use momentum to crawl out of a ditch? I hated it. Did not like it.
It's in Savage Worlds, you have there's a new setting rule called hard choices, where if you spin a Benny, it goes to the GM. So, it makes you really want to question whether or not you spin a Benny. And that's kind of what, that's kind of like, that's kind of the same principle. Like, well, you're really kind of like shitting all over players, their agency, I think, in that sense too, man.
They're whatchamacallit.
Yeah, the whatchamacallit, yeah. Rub it off on me, man.
That's what I do. I like to rub it off on people.
Yeah, I bet you do. Didn't you get thrown in a pokey for that? Or wait, that's not illegal in Canada,
right?
In fact, you're allowed to flash. You're allowed to flash somebody at least 6 times before you're able to get thrown in jail.
You know what? In Canada, we enjoy looking at men's genitalia.
Right. In fact, Trudeau is just like throwing his. Trudeau's like, here's my wiener.
That's right. Don't body shame people. We don't body shame people in Canada. We're very politically correct. We just say, thank you, sir, for showing me your genitals. That's a very nice penis.
Right. Have a good day, sir.
There's so many guys that I work with that just whip their junk out and just piss on the concrete slab. And so you'll be like doing a thing. I need to talk to Billy because I need directions to a job. And I walk around the corner and there's 74-year-old Bill with his dick out. And I'm like, hey, Bill. Nice penis. Trouble and stunts in this book. What do we got going on here? Are these anything worth talking about? Stunts is just like, you want to do some kind of weird super dive, drop kick, flounder, flippity flap, McDiggle-do.
It's more or less just if you're wanting to use a power in a different way that doesn't necessarily that you're not necessarily that you would use it for. Case in point, a lot of times too, like if you're they use it. Stunts are used in Savage World. Power stunts are used in Savage Worlds, and I think they're amazing. And this sort of applies. It's sort of like if you have, let's say you're a stretchy guy, and you turn into a parachute. And so for like 3 or 4 rounds, you actually have the fly power. You know what I'm saying? So, or let's say that you have a blast power, and let's say that there's a swarm of these insects going around. You want to go ahead and blast them. So instead of your blast power, let's say you turn it into an area effect. So, it's sort of like being able to like jury rig your power on the fly, just let it do something a little bit different.
Yeah, I gotcha. That's actually kind of cool. All right, I'm good with that.
So yeah, Savage Worlds, like you spend a Benny to do that, and it's awesome to be able to use power stunts. And so that's kind of the same way too. And also there's options to do like mastered ones where this is a stunt that somebody can pull off like all the time, so they don't have to spend as much determination to get one of these triggered off or something to that effect.
So that's all right. Here's the section on determination. They talk about it a little bit here. It gives you, is this the section? Yeah, determination. You got to add this and that and subtract that.
Yep.
Spending determination points, gaining determination. You can spend bennies and get bennies back, kind of a thing. I like that idea. I always like that in a game. Let's talk damage for a second here. Let's say I'm slapping Billy the Kid. He's getting a couple of straight punches to the face here. How do we figure out how much damage I'm doing?
There is so a successful attack will just it'll break down your stamina, and when your stamina reduces 0, that's when you drop out. There are forms of resistance though. like some characters will have like a different damage resistance. Like for example, a character with damage resistance 2 hit by a punch dealing 4 points of damage only suffer. Just like DR and D&D, will only suffer 2 points of damage. To their stamina.
Yeah.
There's also ways to there's also ways to increase the damage, like with slamming or whatever, and that's using strength. But that's just more like a big, that's just using your strength to see how well that you inflict more damage. If you're taking somebody, there's a difference between slamming and stunning. Whatever. If the attack achieves a potential stun and inflicts 0 more stamina damage to target after resistance, then they're able. These are just like little modifiers, because you can go into slamming, stunning, and killing damage, which damage achieves a potential kill outcome, and so that's just based on the power or anything like that too. So
gotcha. So yeah, you got a static number for your stamina. When you get slapped, depending on how successful you are, how much more successful you are at slapping than they are at defending, gives you that gap of how much damage you're going to do. I guess in here somewhere there's going to be a thing that if you do, let's say you have a massive success, you get to add slam damage and stuff like that, and then you just reduce the stamina based on minus resistance kind of a thing. So that's pretty straightforward to figure that stuff out. You get recovery to get your stamina back. Unconscious characters regain consciousness in 2d6 pages. So we're talking like 2 to 12 rounds, I guess is what it is, with 1 stamina, because nobody ever dies. There is a whole section in here too, or a little paragraph about killing. Essentially, when you smack somebody out, they're never considered dead unless you determine them to be. Basically, everybody just gets knocked out is what happens with that, right? So
yeah. And it could be the case where you get put in a coma. So, I mean, that character might be retired or whatever, but they're not really dead, because and that could be a thing too, where that character can get resurrected, and that be the big bad that you're fighting next time, because now you got zombie brain man.
Right. So we're 46 pages into this, and then we get into something that's actually kind of cool. The Grudge Match. So what the Grudge Match is an entire segment that's a couple pages long that basically goes through the how you would actually run a combat. We're not gonna get into this. The rest of this book is essentially skimmable, and that's what we're gonna do. So you've got the Grudge Match here. The artwork in this book is pretty decent. I like the comic style with the biffs, the bops, the bams. But yeah, this Grudge Match basically tells you about this guy that breaks into a bank and how you run stunts, and you want to do weird things with activating your powers and getting into costume, and it's pretty interesting. It's a nice easy read, and it tells you sort of how to play the game by describing a scenario. And it is, what are we looking at, 8 pages now before we get to the next one, which is hero creation. I'm not going to go into hero creation because essentially you're just making a superhero, but let's just touch on the points. You got 7 points to creating a character. Jay, what are they?
The first one that you got is now you got the first one, which is creating your origin. Now it has a method. It lets you, in fact, it tells you right here, roll your origin on the origin table to figure out your origin. Now, I know a lot of people will bitch about, I don't want to roll a random ass character. It does have a point buy system, so quit bitching. So there you go. But in this case, phase 1, you're going to roll your origin. You take 2d6 in your roll. It's got 6 different options. 2 to 4 is trained, 5 to 6 is transformed. Trained is sort of like somebody who's, a highly skilled individual, or any powers actually come from superior training. These are your super soldiers like Captain America. These are, your Punishers, guys like that. So that falls into that character, or that kind of that character trope. Transformed, that's, here was normal, but something happened to him. That's your Spider-Mans, something, radioactive, something chomps on you. That's what happens. 7 is birthright. That's somebody who's born with these powers and are destined to develop great heroes. So it's mutants can kind of fall into that sort of conceit. That conceit. 8, 9 gimmick. Blah blah blah. It goes on. So you one of these are you roll that, and that's where you're going to go ahead and get. And also you're going to get like little bonuses based on your origin. After that, then your attribute. Then you go ahead and also this will determine your. You can also roll to determine your level of base determination. You also roll for your attributes. So you just you would roll a bunch of just so it says roll once for level determination for each attribute, and so you do that. Roll for your attributes, and then you roll for your powers. I don't know, man. This is where you kind of like roll to see how many powers you get. And I mean, if you only get two powers, that's kind of like when somebody else gets 5 powers, you're gonna feel like kind of shit like that. That's why the random stuff.
Yeah, I'm
sort of like
Skippy the Bip and Bash, and my superpowers are booger flicking and spitting.
Right, I can teleport, and I can teleport and eat spaghetti really fast. Wow,
that's too funny. So how do the attributes work? Roll once on the level determination table for each attribute and record the result. So you got to roll on a table, and that is going to tell you what your number is, or because this isn't a standard like D20 kind of a game, right? So
right. So you go over there, you make a 2d6 roll of whatever it lands on. That's what level you're going to land on. So, all right, so you're going to roll for prowess. You'll get a 2d6 roll. All right, it lands on a 5 or 6, so your prowess is going to be a 4. Mm-hmm. But then again, but you can switch. You can move these around. But yeah, you're rolling for everything, and it's really kind of. I mean, you're rolling the most random ass character.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So.
You right down to powers. Once you choose your powers, you're going to roll your power types. So you roll 2d6. Depending on what you roll, you can get mental control, defensive, offensive movement, alteration, and sensory powers. And then you go down through those tables and roll again and determine, what kind of like alteration powers or control powers or defensive powers you get. So it is very random, and I did it when I rolled my characters and sort of just testing this last night. It actually turned out I don't even know what my thing got, because after a while I was kind of like my brain sort of melted a bit. When you're reading a book and trying to figure it out on your own, like my brain had a friggin' bit of a shutdown.
Start getting cross-eyed.
Right, and that's where I was at when we hit about page 60-something. Phase 5 is description. So yeah, in Phase 6 is qualities. The quality section, again, is like edges and hindrances, but you sort of build your own, because, again, this game is so abstract that it's not really in there. Determination, here we go again with your determination. So subtract the hero's total number of powers from 6, and that's how you get your determination level. So your determination level equals 6 minus the total number of powers. You figure out your stamina, which equals your strength and your willpower, and then you get the Game Master's approval, character created. So
yep. Now, one thing I will say about this, though, and I don't think we're going to have time to delve into it, but I do like the powers in this game. I do like the powers a lot. I think they're pretty great. And that leaves a lot to be desired in some supers games. But this is the way that they've done it. In fact, they've broken them down into certain groups and everything like that to just make things easier for you. But the powers are pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm. I was looking at them. There is a butt ton of them, which is pretty cool. There's a lot of stuff that we didn't get to cover in the hour, like with team play and, making teams and stuff like that. But just to sort of put a pin in all of this, because we're only 80 some odd pages into this sucker, you have, after the power section, what do we got after the power section? It just shows you, like you can see as I'm scrolling through this, you got absorption, affliction, adaption, all these different powers. There's just a ton of them that you could choose from, which is pretty neat. There's a bit of a bestiary in the back of the book that tells you, generally what you're looking at when you're fighting certain things, animals, basics, just like Savage Worlds, again, if you're familiar with that. And then,
now,
go ahead.
The basic. Well, the basics, they do touch it in the game, but the other chapters do take a deeper dive into combat, and it's something like that I don't think we're going to go ahead and take a deep dive into. But yeah, it goes into like the specifics of moving and order, and in the gameplay and everything like that, and moving and throwing and blah blah blah, and what reactions are defined and everything like that too. So in fact, this is pretty typical like Green Ronin stuff, where they end up where they put the or like the rules are sort of like laid out like fast, well before, you get the basics, and then I guess it jumps later on, to that sort of thing. I've seen that. The Mutants and Masterminds laid out the same way too.
Yeah. So on a scale of 1 to 10, you're kind of the supers guy. You look into these things all the time. What do you give Icons Assembled? I didn't play much supers, so this book looks
right
great.
now. I'm going to give it like based on the powers alone. I really like the powers. I think it's one of the better qualities of this game. But the simplicity is kind of nice though. But overall, I'm going to give it a 7 because maybe the narrative stuff is just not my cup of tea. And I don't really see it going over well, especially because I know people that I played with before. They're some long-winded, wanting to get every advantage. So I just see a big argument coming.
I feel the same way. No, I absolutely feel the same way. All right, well, that's going to wrap up this section. We're going to put a pin in Icons Assembled. Not too shabby. And oh yeah, I know what we're gonna do next here. We're gonna have to take 5 here, Jay, because it's bathroom break. It's been an hour, and we're gonna put her on. Be right back.
Well, I woke up to go get me a cold pop, and then I thought somebody was barbecuing. I said, "Oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire!" Then I ran out. I didn't grab no shoes or nothing. Jesus, I ran for my life. And then the smoke got me. I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that.
We're going to have to wrap up quick here because now my stomach's starting to...
That, my friends, is why they call me Major IBS. Just that fast. I made it all the way up to the bowl, and then as I was taking my shorts off, it popped out and landed right in the hinge. Now I got to get my toothbrush out and get in the little nooks and crannies.
You poor bastard.
So brutal. All right. So where are we at here? Oh yeah, we're wrapping up the old icons. I don't know if you're ready for this, Jay, but I spent a little bit of time last night doing some stuff, doing some things, doing some thinking. Built a couple of characters while I was reading the Icons Assemble book and stuff like that. And then, this is what I came up with. 20 stupid superheroes. Here we go. Number 1.
Alrighty.
Pudding Lad. He turns into pudding, and that's it.
Whee! Poor guy.
Now, choose your flavor.
I'd be afraid that like he wouldn't be able to control it. And he would turn into pudding like in a cafeteria situation, and then there'd be no more Pudding Lad.
That would be it for him. People would start eating Pudding Lad. Oh
right.
My God, that is so lame. All right, number 2, the Illuminator. He's a human light bulb that's always on.
I like the name. The name's kind of cool, the Illuminator. But then you realize he's just a friggin' light bulb. So
right,
poor guy.
He just glows a little bit. So yeah, you take him into combat, you're screwed. But you need to go into a cavern to rescue some kids. He's your man, right?
Yep.
Number 3, the Freshman. Okay. He can emit nice smells like an air freshener.
I like this guy.
How about this guy, the Outliner? He can
the Outliner. Yeah,
can't quite go invisible. You can just see an outline of him. Other than that,
hey, there you are, Outliner. Oh, damn it, you found me.
Oh man, how about this one? Number 5, Wonder Bins, a brother and sister combo of waste baskets.
What?
Yeah, they form of dumpster, shape of garbage can. The Wonder Bins.
The Wonder Bins. That's pretty great.
They just turn into garbage cans. Let me take off the PDF thing here while we split over to number 6. All right, so number 6, the Fall Guy. He trips a lot.
He just trips, like he'll fall on people.
Well, he's got another ability. He can fall from buildings and shit like that, but he never takes damage. But he's just constantly falling over.
He's immune to fall damage. That's kind of interesting.
But he constantly falls.
Poor guy.
The Smurf.
Okay.
This is so dumb. He's blue and he's small and he can never be caught by Gargamel.
There you go. Cargabell's never going to eat that sumbitch.
The Taco Terror, number 8. He fell in a vat of Taco Bell sauce and can now give everyone the shits.
I think he's affected me here in a little bit.
All right. Number 9, Pogo Stick Man. He's a smart...
Pops.
Right? No. He's a smart pogo stick that you can ride, and he can jump high.
Oh, okay. All right.
Right?
Okay.
So
All right. That's cool.
Half person, half equipment. Paperman. Number 10, Paperman. You touch him, and you get a paper cut, except he's exceptionally flammable.
Wow.
How about this one? Number 11, RoboCart. It's a robot that can eat metal and shit out ninja shopping carts.
Wow. That's impressive.
Excellent. How about this one? Number 12, the Brony. He can take on the powers of the My Little Ponies.
There's a bunch of them too, aren't there?
Well, no, this guy actually gets the powers. The rest of them just dress up. Yeah. He's the legit shit.
No, that's awesome. So yeah, he just gets I don't know all the powers, but I imagine that's a lot of little powers that those little things have. I don't know anything about my...
Oh, brother, I feel like this list is a big fail. How about number 13, the Cube? It's just a talking box. It can't even walk, but in a pinch you could use him to help you get stuff off the top shelf.
Right. All right, bring in the cube.
we can't quite reach the top shelf where the gizmo is that we need to save the world. Bring in the cube. The Sushinator.
So he turns into sushi?
Nope. He's made of rice and dead fish, and he shoots a web of nori like Spider-Man, but it's like weak and it smells like seaweed. So instead of shooting spider web, he shoots seaweed.
I hate to do this to you, dude, but my stomach just went drop, and so now I'm about to... Oh, God.
Okay. I'll take 5. See you in a minute. Wow, this show is the shits, man. Poor Jay. I think my activate made his activate. All right. Well, I guess I'm gonna smash over to the be right back button because we both have major IBS tonight. Wow.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Did you make it?
Barely, and I don't know if I'm gonna have to probably make another run.
I know we're gonna have to put a pin in this bad boy or maybe do a redo on this one. Sorry, everybody, but this is why they call us Major IBS and Captain Colon. Just like that.
That's what happens too. And I've had a stomach bug for the last couple days, and so I don't know. Everything seemed to be fine, and now I'm just like, oh shit.
Man, it was just like a freaking hot wave rolled right over top of me, and then bam, that was it. I was like, oh, I better do a thing. Unfortunately, I failed, and I rolled a critical fail on mine. So,
what's funny too is I think I get sympathetic ones. So whenever it happens to Gary, it's sort of like, all right, it's gonna roll down to me. I think our systems sync up.
Wow. Oh man. It's like, yeah, we're not the Wonder Twins. We're like the Wonder Shits, man. Holy crap.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's finish this off here. So number 15. I'll piece this together in the audio podcast when I download this sucker. Number 15, Crumple Stiltskin. His skin crumbles and falls off like a salt and pepper shaker kind of a deal. So he can get his flaky skin in your eyes and face and up your nose and stuff. That's a superpower. Just gives you like a little duster. Gets all over the place.
Jeez, this guy's horrible.
16, Stretch Toes. Pretty straightforward. His toes can stretch out, but he can't grab shit. He just can push things over.
All right. Just knock stuff over.
This guy here, number 17. His stupid superhero name is 9 Volt. If you lick him, your tongue tingles. Anything that you can use a 9-volt battery for, you could charge off of him. But yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Here you go. I got a smoke detector. Here you go. Stand still.
18, Boomerang. Anything he throws comes right back at him. Like grenades.
Whatever.
Right? Just anything.
Baseball. Shade.
Number 19, Aquaman. The real deal. He's a shitty superhero. Fish talking asshole. What a stupid hero, man. Right? A stupid superhero that guy is. Talks to the fish. Come on. And then number 20, Craftsman. He makes life-size RPG terrain, but it's made from shitty crafting materials like popsicle sticks and foam, so it always breaks.
I think that's somebody's alter ego right there.
Right? So yeah, he can build like a door or something like that, or maybe like a bridge or something like that if you needed to cross a chasm or something like that. But it's all made out of crappy stuff that just breaks anyway. So that's the craftsman. Those are my 20 stupid, my 20 shitty superheroes right there.
There you go. Well done.
Thanks, pal.
And I'll tell you what, we sure put the shitty in the superheroes tonight. Let me tell you.
Oh, brother, did we ever? You know what's weird? Ironically enough, so somebody's doing a thing here. I don't remember what the outro song is there, bud. I'm going to have to figure this one out right now on the fly because I do have an outro thing here, but I don't think maybe this is what it is. All right, so where's my Murder Hobo Show notes? I don't even have them up. I'm sucking hard right now.
This is what happens, man, when the when the bowels sync up.
Man, do you know how much
Everything
editing
goes awry.
I'm going to have to do on this bad boy? Here we go. All right, so we got that there where that needs to be. We're going to smash this button right here.
There we go.
All righty. Sometimes I'll get it. One of these days I'll figure it out. I'll get it together. That's it for this edition of the Murder Hobo RPG Show. We hope you enjoyed it, and if you didn't, we don't give a shit. Well, actually, we did. We gave 2 shits and me, 3, because I went twice.
All right. So, if you're interested in submitting to community questions, which we don't do anymore, or we haven't done in a long time, so you can hear us poke fun at you and not otherwise answer your questions honestly, you can do so at murderhoboshow@gmail.com. Otherwise, send your hate mail to beep.cornshit.
You can also get us at Twitter at The Murder Hobo Show, on YouTube at The Murder Hobo Show, where I show you how to make 3-dimensional battle maps for role-playing in Tabletop Simulator, among other stuff. You can watch me do this live on Twitch at The Murder Hobo Show, where I do that stuff sometimes. I don't have a schedule. I just do it when I got some time. But your best bet is to catch us over at MeWe. And as always, you can find all the great nerds from the Nerds International shows on MeWe as well. For example, such classics as...
What we're going to pull out of the box here. How about those fine fellows from across the pond, the 3T RPG podcast?
Yeah,
Harrison Hunt, Nick Lamley. They're always doing some interesting stuff over there. They just right now I think their most recent one, they just covered how to do horror well in RPGs, and I think they had another good episode. They've been running pretty steadily too. So go check those guys out. Always a hoot. Mm-hmm. Always got something fun to talk about.
Yeah,
love them.
Don't forget our other favorite fellow across the pond there, Pete Jones.
Oh, yeah.
From Dragon Surreal.
Yeah.
He's also a pond.
Yeah, he is. All those guys that live on that little island. So, and it's funny they all look alike too, because they're all kind of inbred, I think.
Ooh, that's a little stiff.
Oh, did I say that out loud? I thought we were done. My bad.
All right. You can find the things we discussed in the show notes organized by the most recent at the top over at themurderhoboshow.podbean.com.
So thanks for listening. Be sure to tune in next time. We will have another action-packed show where we'll talk about things we know little to nothing about and sound professional doing it. Have a great gaming week. We are out of here. Say goodbye, Gary.
Goodbye, Gary. The Murder Hobo Show is not affiliated with or endorsed by any companies mentioned on this show. Any of the products mentioned on our show or appear on our website are the property and copyright of the respected owners. All items are used under fair use for educational and review purposes. All other items are the intellectual property of the Murder Hobo Show, copyright 2020, all rights reserved.